So when I got pregnant 2 years ago, after having lived in Spain for about 7 years, so I'm currently based in Barcelona, so I was very, very excited. And well, after the initial excitement of, announcing my pregnancy and just getting excited about the overall experience, after it all went out, I had to think about what was my plan, where was I going to give birth, what was going to be the whole process for the pregnancy. Was I going to go through the private or the public health system? So I had loads of questions. And also, as an expat, I mean, it doesn't matter, even though in my case, I've been living in Spain for 8 years. I'm comfortable with my Spanish, but I was still feeling a bit like scared about having to go through the whole pregnancy in Spanish. I kind of saw some of the benefits of going with the public health insurance, but also there were some benefits with the private health insurance, especially around the language, being able to communicate with doctors in English. But turns out that I didn't have to, in the end, make a decision, and that I could go through the whole pregnancy process with both the private and the public health system. And this is actually something that's very common that many people do in Spain, Spanish people including. And this is also something that I recommend to expats when you're thinking about staying in Spain long term. It's thinking about how you can potentially play around with both systems. But I will explain to you this a bit further down the video. But now, if you're here, I imagine that you're planning on moving to Spain anytime soon. And health insurance is a key part of your relocation process. So this is something that you really need to understand well before moving to Spain and not after, like I did. So today I'm going to talk to you about 5 main things that you need to know and hopefully key takeaways. So I'll explain to you what's the difference between the public health system and the private. Then I will tell you why private insurance is a key requirement as part of your visa application, and what kind of insurance will make the cut, because not all health insurance are made equal. Then third, we'll talk about pre-existing condition, because this is a big thing. Then fourth, I would explain you how medication work here and kind of day-to-day health system. And then last but not least, this is what I told you at the beginning. So it would be about telling you why combining private and public might make sense for you when it comes to your healthcare long term, and why this needs to be part of your game plan. Okay, so number one is the public health insurance. So how does it work in Spain? So in Spain, the public health insurance, this is paid by a taxpayer. So if you're self-employed or if you are working for a company like myself, you will need to pay to, it's called like to the Seguridad Social. So every month you need to pay a fee. And in my case, I'll pay a fee, and also the company I'm working for is paying. And this will give me access to the public health insurance. And actually, I mean, there's a lot of benefits of having access to the public health insurance, because at the end of the day, for emergency cares, pregnancy care, long-term illness, and just in general, I think it's great. And I'll explain a bit more about my own experience, but in general, the baseline is very strong. Having said that, the public health insurance operates on a referral basis, meaning that you cannot just show up and talk to a specialist. You need to, for every single type of treatment, no matter the emergency, you need to go through your family doctor. So you take an appointment with your family doctor, and then your family doctor is the one who refers you to a specialist. So in practice, what does that mean? It's just that it's slower. Of course, if you want to go to the hospital, you can go directly, but it's just slower, and it's just maybe not the best option for everyone. Then let's look at the private health insurance. So it operates differently in that sense, because for the private health insurance, so you need to pay a monthly fee. So you have a monthly premium that you pay for your health insurance contract. And the biggest difference, and to me the biggest advantage, is that you can scrap this referral type of system. So you can go directly to a specialist. So again, let's say if you wanted to have access to, in my case, a gynecologist. So when I was pregnant, I could go directly and book an appointment with a specialist. And that also means that you actually can select the specialist that you want to have access to. So like for the private health insurance, they have something that's called the Quadro Medico. So then what you can do is that if you go on your app, so you've got all these health insurance, Sanitas, AXA, well, they all have an app. And then there you can look for a specialist, and there's different way of filtering. It's a directory, basically. You can filter based on languages also, if you wanted a specialist that only spoke English, if you wanted a specialist close to your home or further away. So it gives you more flexibility, as opposed to the public health insurance where you would have to go with your local doctor. So this is one of the benefits of the private health insurance. Now, let's talk about the requirement for your private health insurance. So in essence, what the Spanish government wants is that they want to make sure that you're not reliant on the public health insurance that's paid by taxpayers. So they want to make sure that your health insurance covers clear sets of requirements. So the first thing is that it needs to cover you for the whole of Spain. So no matter if you get sick in Andalusia or Madrid, you need to be covered by your private health insurance. So there's a bunch of exclusions. So there's no co-payment, no waiting time, no exclusion, and no deductible. So this is key. So this is the type of health insurance that you need in order to apply for your visa. And then now I'll tell you also a bit more about the cost and about pre-existing condition. Let's start with pre-existing condition. This is a big thing. And I think it might be coming as a surprise as people who are not familiar with the Spanish healthcare system. But, you need to fill out a questionnaire when you are applying for the private health insurance, and they ask you a bunch of questions to understand, how well you're doing, if you had any pre-existing condition, and actually, the insurer can potentially either exclude your pre-existing condition from your contract, or they can refuse, or they can reject your application on the basis of a pre-existing condition. So do not worry, they are private health insurance that include also pre-existing condition within their coverage and that are visa compliant. But I always recommend that you work with a broker when it comes to finding a health insurance, because it's tricky, honestly. I have so many stories of clients of mine who got their who got rejected from private health insurance just because maybe they gave too many information. It's not that you need to lie in the questionnaire, but maybe they provided so many information that they ended up getting rejected. And actually, when you're working with a broker, they can not only help you apply, they can go to all the different health insurance out there to find you the best price and the best policy, but they can also help you fill out the form and to make sure that you expedite the process and you get that health insurance secure. So I strongly recommend working with Kieran from InnoInsure. So this is the broker that I've been working with for more than 5 years. I've only had good feedback. So you can see the link below. I also did a video with him not long ago where he explained the whole process when it comes to health insurance. So if you want to dive deeper, you can go and watch this video. And you can have even more information, and then also reach out to him directly to get a personal quote for you. So anyway, that's a side note. So it's something that you need to know about pre-existing condition, but do not be scared. It is possible to move to Spain with pre-existing condition. Is it more complicated? Yes, but it's possible, especially if you get the right support. So this is one thing. Then the second thing is the cost. I mean, this is a key thing. And compared to many countries in the world, Spanish healthcare is a lot cheaper. So when it comes to the cost of private health insurance, there's 3 things that you need to have in mind, and that will influence how much you're going to pay at the end of the day. It's your age. Then where is the insurance based, and it's also which health insurance you're gonna pick. So which insurer you're gonna work with. So those 3 can impact the cost of your coverage, basically. And I'll give you a specific example. So let's look at myself, for example. So I'm a 30-something woman one kid, healthy, no pre-existing conditions. And right now I'm paying around 39 euros a month for my private health insurance, on top of the public health insurance that I'm getting. I told you that I'm on a monthly basis contributing to the La Seguridad Social. Now, let's say if you were a bit older, maybe if you were in your 60s and you lived in Madrid, let's assume also you had no pre-existing condition, you would be looking around 300 euros, 330 euros a month. So it's pretty reasonable compared to some of the things I've heard in other countries, like in America, where you might pay 2K, up to 2K a month. So definitely worth it. So this is something that you need to know about cost. Now, another thing. So now let's talk about medication. So this is also a question that I get asked a lot is, do our medication included, or do you need to pay for medication once you get your private health insurance coverage? So in general, so when you think of medication, like prices in Spain, it's a lot cheaper than many places again in the world. Medications are subsidized in Spain, so this is good. So there's no crazy prices in general. And when it comes to inclusion in the private health insurance, usually your coverage doesn't include medication. So usually you need to pay it out of pocket. Having said that, if you do have access to the public health insurance, then it's included and you get the subsidized price. And this is something that, again, now in a minute I will explain why I think having both the public and private health insurance can help you in this case of getting better prices for medication. Then another thing about medication and over-the-counter medication, I think that can be surprising for some of you guys who are not used to, who haven't lived in Europe yet. But in Spain, when it comes to medications, you cannot get medication in supermarket. I know that in America, when I lived there, it was quite common. I would go, I had a headache, I would get a paracetamol from the supermarket. But in Spain, everything needs to be done via the pharmacy. So this is something that's a bit different. It takes you a bit of time to get accustomed, but other than that, all good. Now, next, let's talk about your game plan. So your long-term game plan when it comes to having access to the public health insurance. So this is what I was mentioning. So first of all, I think many people are not aware that after a year of living in Spain, you can actually apply for the public healthcare system. So this has a lot of benefits because I told you when it comes to coverage. So if you manage to get on the public health system, then imagine if you had any pre-existing condition, this would be covered. Your medication would be covered. So now the question is how? How can you do that? So you need to have a proof that you've been living in Spain for 12 months. So that's why you need to have what it's called a padrón. So it's like a proof of registration. So once you have that and you've been living, so you've shown that you've been living in Spain for this 12-month period, you can apply to something that is called the Convenio Especial. El Convenio Especial means that it's a fee-based scheme that is available in Spain, whereby you can pay. So if you're under the age of 65, you're paying around 60 euros a month to get access to the public healthcare. And if you're over 65, you're paying around 160 euro a month. So it's definitely worth it. And what most people do is that they would still have their private health insurance, because private health insurance at the end of the day is good because there's also some benefits, no waiting time, you can have access to a specialist straight away, and at the end of the day it's your bridge to get your visa, so you need it. And for visa renewal, you might need also your private health insurance, but on the side you also want to have your public health insurance for all the great things I've mentioned to you. So this is something that people don't usually consider, but I think if you're older, if you have pre-existing condition, you should definitely have this in mind. Caveat, one thing that I didn't mention before when it comes to pre-existing condition, which is also worth mentioning, is that there's a law that was passed in 2023, which means that if you've been cancer-free for 5 years, you don't actually have to disclose information about your cancer to the private health insurer, where you're applying for. So, and they cannot discriminate on the basis of you having had cancer 5 years ago. if you've been cancer free for 5 years. So this is something to bear in mind that I wanted to mention, that I'm pretty sure many people are not aware. So in general, this is a bit about what you need to know before moving to Spain when it comes to health insurance. Like I said, my best advice is to work with a broker. You need to work with someone that can help you, that can hold your hands, that can help you navigate through the private health system, because it can be complicated, and you want to you want to put all the chances on your side in order to get that approved, to get your visa, and then get moving, and then start living in Spain. So if you want to know more about healthcare, about life in Spain, make sure to check out my past videos and leave a comment in below with any question that you have, and let me know, when are you planning on moving to Spain? I want to know, and where in Spain are you going to move? Okay, so thank you, and see you next time.